Hello everybody, my name is Natalia Leigh and I'm the author of the young adult novels Highborn and Way of Spears, and today I am doing the writing rituals tag for you. And then at the end of this video, I will also be answering some questions that I received from my followers on Twitter. So let's get started. So this tag was originally created by Kim Chance and Mandi Lynn. They did an awesome collaboration together and came up with all of these questions. So I will be linking both of their channels down below. Go check them out if you don't already know who they are. Alright, so let's get into these questions and then I will tag a few of you at the end. The first question is, when do you write? Like what time of day and what day of the week? So as many of you probably know, I have actually recently finished my novel, Song of the Dryad. My ritual used to be that I would write Tuesday through Friday, so 4 days a week, and I would write from about 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock, so about 3 hours a day, 4 days a week. So I was probably writing for approximately 12 hours a week. Alright, the next question is, how do you seclude yourself from the outside world? So number one is that I write when nobody else is home. If my boyfriend is home, then I usually get distracted watching movies with him or going out and running errands with him or just hanging out together. So I really like to write when I'm home alone and there are no distractions. And then the other thing I do to seclude myself is kind of funny because I will actually go to a public place such as a coffee shop or a bookstore, and I will write there because even if I'm surrounded by people, those people don't actually know me, so we're not interacting, and it does make me feel like I'm secluded when I'm there writing in public and I have my earbuds in and I'm just listening to music, or I might just have them in and not have anything playing, but it just helps to kind of drown out the sound around me. The next question is, how do you review what you wrote the previous day? I don't really review what I wrote the previous day so much as just remind myself of what I wrote. So I don't go back and edit or anything like that. What I'll do is I'll sit down and then I will just read through the last few paragraphs or the last page of what I wrote the previous day just to remind myself of what I was working on. And then the other thing I will do is open my outline and then read the notes for the upcoming chapter or scene that I'm working on so I know exactly what my job is for that day. What song is your go-to when you are feeling uninspired? I don't really have one go-to song when I'm feeling uninspired. Really what works for me is listening to movie soundtracks because they're so epic and cinematic, and they really get me in the mood to create, whether that is through noveling or through my art. So definitely cinematic soundtracks. And then also, you know, because Song of the Dryad is about fairies and magic and mystery. So when I was writing that, I would listen to a lot of, like I would just go on YouTube and type in fairy music, mermaid music, what else? Like elf music. So just stuff that was very magical and whimsical, and that would usually get me inspired to write as well. Next up is, what do you always do? For example, listening to music, do you read, watch YouTube, etc. when you find yourself struggling with writer's block? So writer's block is something that everybody struggles with, I think, but I see it more as me just not wanting to work, and I don't allow that to control me, because if I allowed writer's block to control me, then I wouldn't get anything done. So what I will do is, you know, I will sit down for the allotted time that I'm supposed to be working. So like I mentioned before, if it is a Wednesday at 10 o'clock, I should be in front of my computer with my document open, and I should at least be thinking about it, and I should have it there in front of me. So what I will do, if it really comes down to it, is watch YouTube videos, other like author tube videos of writers and authors that are pursuing their dreams, being successful, finishing their books, working really hard, because seeing other people work really hard and chase their dreams and attain those goals is what helps kind of lift me out of my laziness and get me to write, because usually that's what my writer's block is it's just laziness, or I've gone the wrong direction with my book and I am now stuck. So the other thing I would do is just like chop off the last, chapter I wrote or the last scene I wrote if necessary, and then start fresh. and that will usually get me out of writer's block as well. What tools do you use when you're writing? When I am actually drafting something, like seriously drafting a novel, I will have my laptop and I will have Scrivener. Scrivener is fantastic because it allows for such organization, such detailed organization. If I am starting a new novel for, say, like NaNoWriMo, and I just need to write a lot of words in a short amount of time, then I will use Word, Microsoft Word, because it's just so simple and straightforward. But when it comes to actually drafting and being serious about it and outlining and going through everything that I go through when I write a novel, then I definitely use Scrivener. So just my laptop and Scrivener are my tools of the trade. What is the one thing you can't live without during a writing session? I guess I'm going to say peace. And that doesn't mean like peace and quiet, because I can work when it's like loud around me if I'm at a bookstore or something. But just the peace of mind to know that I can just sit there for a few hours and focus only on my book. Because if I sit down and I only have 20 minutes to write and I'm panicked and I'm thinking about everything else I have to do that day, then I do not have a good writing session, because I do struggle with a lot of anxiety in my life. And when I have all these things planned out in a day, I have to have a certain block of time planned out for my writing, or else I get anxious and worked up and I feel like everything else is falling apart. So in order to have a productive day, and the thing that I can't live without in my writing life is just peace of mind and knowing that I have that routine and that schedule, and that allotted amount of time is for writing and nothing else. How do you fuel yourself during writing sessions? I like to eat a lot. So I will always have a big glass of water with me, and then some sort of snack or a big lunch that I will eat while I'm writing. So I usually like to snack on trail mixes. I love like pretzels and hummus. What else? Frozen bananas. I absolutely love frozen bananas. So just like healthy snacks that I can just consistently eat. Oh, popcorn. I have my own air popcorn popper, and then I just drizzle a little bit of lemon juice over the top, and it is absolutely delicious. So popcorn is probably one of my go-to snacks while I'm writing. But yeah, so I always have to have snacks with me, and I always have to have water with me, or else I just get way too hungry, and then I'm distracted by my hunger and I can't work. Okay, the last question is, how do you know when you are done writing, like done writing for the day or with that session? And I usually set a word count goal for myself, and I know that a lot of authors and writers don't do this because they want to feel like they just want the freedom to stop whenever they feel like it, or to stop when they feel like they've achieved something. But for me, I really need that word count goal because it helps me push myself. I'm somebody that doesn't push myself very hard, so if I wanted to, I'd write 300 words and then be like, I kind of feel like being done, and then I would stop writing. But if I did that, I would never get anything done. So I usually set a word count goal of at least 1,000 words for myself, especially like with Song of the Dryad, when I was getting so close to the end. I wanted so badly to finish it that I was setting higher and higher word count goals per day for myself. And I was able to attain those because I was so excited about it moving forward. But I usually write at least 1,000 words a day, and recently I've been trying to finish the scene I'm working on before I stop, because if I am in the middle of a scene and I stop and then I come back the next day, I'm not in the exact same mindset as I was when I was writing that scene before. So sometimes there's a slight shift in tone, or in the way, that I'm telling the story shifts based on my mood. So I really like to finish up a scene in its entirety before I stop writing for the day. Alright, so that was the writing rituals tag. Again, thank you Mandi, Lynn, and Kim Chance for creating this tag. It was a lot of fun to do. So what I'm going to do is tag 3 people, and then I'm going to answer the questions that I received on Twitter yesterday. So for this writing rituals tag, I'm going to tag By the Brook, I'm going to tag Persephone Jones, and I'm going to tag Jamie Dene. Alright, so the first question I received was, how do you persevere with projects long enough to finish them? Believe me, I did not used to finish projects. I was that writer that started 5 different books, never saw any of them through to completion, and I thought, I'm never going to finish anything. You know, I was really of the mindset that I would not be able to be an author because I couldn't finish anything. But then, like, I had to change my mindset from, oh, I enjoy writing as a hobby and this thing is kind of cool, into I want to write and I want to make money writing and I want to be a career novelist. So when I switched over to that other mindset, I got serious, really serious about my writing. And for me, what it takes to persevere is not allowing myself to get distracted and chase other projects. Because you will always come up at that point in your novel where you're sick and tired of it, the characters aren't listening to you, the plot seems boring, and you just want to abandon it and go and start something else. But if you do that, you will never finish anything. So what I do when I get to that point where I'm sick and tired of my novel, I'm halfway through and I don't want to write it anymore, is I fall back in love with it. So what I do is I think, okay, why was I writing this in the first place? When it comes to Song of the Dryad, I wanted to write it because I am fascinated by forests and by magic and by fairies and folklore and elves, and I love all of this so, so much. So when I started getting bored and sick of my novel, I had to go back to those things that I love and figure out how to reinvigorate the novel with those aspects, you know, with those characteristics that I love. So if you want to persevere and finish a novel, you have to make yourself persevere and finish a novel. It takes determination and hard work to finish a novel, and you can do it. I know that you can do it because I did it, and I used to really, really struggle. But it takes being serious about your writing and being serious about your craft and saying, I want to hold my book in my hands. I want other people to be able to see this. And in order to do that, I have to finish this novel. Just determination, my friends. You have to want it badly enough, and then you will achieve it. Okay, the next question is how to keep consistency in your stories or books, aka filling plot holes, etc. So for me, I used to have plot holes all the time in my books because I didn't outline thoroughly enough. And it's so frustrating when you write an entire book and then you go back and you realize, oh my God, there are gaping plot holes everywhere. The readers are just going to fall into them and never find their way back out again. So what really helped me and what solved this problem and the consistency problem was outlining everything. Now, when I outlined for Song of the Dryad, it took me a month and it was 15,000 words of outline. So I worked extremely hard to fill in every single plot hole I could think of, and really it just comes down to an outline for me. If I don't outline, I have inconsistency and I have plot holes. If I do outline, all of that is already taken care of and it takes the guesswork out. So I know exactly what needs to happen, when it needs to happen, and why it needs to happen, and then there are no plot holes. All right, next question. How to handle when you get stuck on plot and can't seem to figure it out. And then that also goes along with the next question, which is how do you come up with enough ideas to flesh out your outline? So when it comes to plotting and outlining, I take my time. You don't want to force yourself into it. You don't want to rush yourself. And I know that can be difficult not to do that because I'm the type of person that wants to do something and I want to do it right then. So if I want to write a new novel, I just want to start writing it. You know, I don't want to spend a month outlining, but it's really important, for me at least. So when I am stuck and I need more ideas and I need to flesh out my outline more, I will start with just a few ideas. Let's say you have 5 plot points that you know you want to have in your novel. Write those down in the order they occur and then just wait. Listen to music, go on a hike, do what inspires you. And then suddenly you'll get one more idea of a really cool scene. Take that idea back to your plot and say, okay, where does this fit in my outline? And then maybe you stick it in there and now you have 6 plot points. And you continue to do this. Every time you get inspired, you write down all of your ideas and you just fill it up like a puzzle. So just take your time, do what inspires you, write everything down, and slowly fit all the puzzle pieces together. Next question. What are your favorite writing tools? Pencils, pens, paper, etc. So when I am seriously drafting, like I said earlier in this video, I will use my laptop and Scrivener, and that's about it. But if I am out and about or I am just starting to get an idea for a novel, then I will use pens because pencils smear and I don't like that, so I will use pens and a journal like this. This one's kind of big, so I couldn't carry it around with me, but I have one journal for every single writing project. So I would get a new journal, I'd get some new pens, and then I would carry that around with me and just write everything down. Next question, how do you create smooth transitions between scenes? For me, it really comes down to finishing the scene that you're working on. I try to create an arc for each chapter and for each scene. So you have kind of the beginning, you have a build up to the climax, and then you have a resolution and falling action, and you wrap everything up. Some authors like to chop a scene in half and then leave a cliffhanger for the readers, which can be really awesome. And then you just start right back up in the next scene or the next chapter. But I don't do that for every single chapter because that would be tiring, you know, a cliffhanger every single time instead of feeling that resolution. So what I do to try to transition smoothly between scenes is just make sure that each scene is complete. It has an arc that has completed its cycle. It is whole in and of itself, because if it's not whole and then you try to start another one, it's going to get kind of messy and tangled. So just make sure that you are finishing the scene to the best of your ability, and then that allows you to transition smoothly into a new scene. So that would be my number one tip. Just finish the arc of your scene in its entirety. So those were all the questions. Remember that October, Preptober for NaNoWriMo is coming up, and I would love to do some Preptober videos for you. So if you have any requests for videos pertaining to how you can prepare for NaNoWriMo, please let me know in the comments down below so I can start to plan those out and get those ready for you. Thank you so much for watching today. Thank you for watching this Writing Rituals tag, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.